Who are you as a leader? That is a question to ask yourself. I want you to remember these 4 things: vision, purpose, values, and superpower. That's what this video is about. Now back to the question. Who are you as a leader? Is that a question that you have asked yourself? Is that something that you have wondered about? What typically happens is we spend most of our youth, as toddlers, as young children, as teenagers, as young adults, being educated and trained in a particular skill. Either you end up being an engineer, you end up being a doctor, you end up being an accountant, you end up being an administrative assistant, you end up being someone in PR, you end up being someone in media, a journalist, or someone who presents news or who reads news. We are trained. You take time to be trained and to learn that skill. However, when it comes to leadership, people are just thrown into it because somehow the skill that you are trained in years, you used it, you became very good at it, you excelled, you're one of the top performers. You reach a stage where the next step or the next promotion is for you to lead the department or the section or the people who you have been working with. And you're thrown into the deep end. You're told lead. So you celebrate this promotion, and then 3 months down the road, you realize that leading people is not the same as reading news, or leading people is not the same as dealing with a balanced sheet, or leading people is not the same as constructing a house. Leading people is a whole different ball game. And what happens is all your fears, all your insecurities, all your doubts, all your wonders begin to show up, and they show up as micromanagement, they show up as anger, they show up as being a difficult boss. They show up in the toxicity, they show up in failure to plan, in failure to manage, failure to assign, hiding from your supervisors, hiding from the people who you're actually supervising. They show up in all sorts of ways because leading people is different from the skill that you are trained in. Leading people is about you. It is about you showing up as you to provide leadership that you have already given yourself. And if you haven't led yourself, then it becomes very hard to lead people. So who are you as a leader? This is a question that I currently help my clients to answer, because people reach out to me, especially, it's usually about a year, or when it's getting to a year after they have been struggling in leadership. They are very good in a particular skill, now they are leading people, and it has been a year of struggle, and by the time they reach out, their confidence, their self-esteem is on the floor because they have just been missing the mark. They have just been messing up as they think. And the thing is, when you're leading people, you're messing up and they're seeing. And they can tell that you're not confident. They can tell that you're missing the mark. They can tell that the plans that you come up with always have holes because you're not very good at planning, or you've not yet developed the competence in planning for people while you are good at planning for yourself. So what can you do? How can you begin to define yourself and to understand yourself as a leader? Because that is the foundation of self-leadership. Understanding yourself. It goes back to you, not the degree that you got, not the masters that you have, not the PhD. Understanding yourself, leading yourself, and then bringing that self-leadership out to lead your team, to lead your people, to lead an organization so that you can achieve what it is you need to achieve. So who are you as a leader? I talked about vision, purpose, values, and superpower. Let's start with understanding that. What is your vision as a leader? Do you know where you want to go as a person? Do you know where you want to go as a leader? It helps for you to define that and to understand that, to get that out of your imagination or of your heart, and to put it down on paper so that you can look and say, this is the vision for my life, this is the vision for my leadership. And when I do this with my clients, I usually have them define it in life, and I have them define it in work, because I want them to have a clear picture of what it is they want, what it is they're working towards, what it is they desire, what it is that they want to build, both in life and in leadership, and then to see if there is a conflict. Because if there's a conflict, then we need to do some work there. So just get out a pen or a pencil and write down, what do I want? What do I want to build? What do I want to see as a leader and then in your life? And then compare the two and see if they are complementing each other, if they are working together, and if you're moving in the same direction. What is your vision as a leader? Define that. Purpose. Why is it that you want to accomplish this as a leader? And why is it that you want to accomplish that as a person? Define your whys. Define your purpose. Why is it that you want to see that in your organization? Get a pen again. Get a pen, a piece of paper, a pen or a pencil, and write that down. Look at the things that you've written down as your vision as the leader and your vision as the person, and define your whys. Define your whys, and don't try to justify them. Don't try to see if they are possible. Just define the why from your heart. Why is it that I want that as a leader, and why is it that I want that as a person? There are no wrong answers, there are no right answers. That's what I usually tell my people. You just need to be true to yourself. And when you've defined your purpose as a leader and your purpose as a person, again, look at the two of them and see, are they complementing each other or are they in conflict? Because when there is a conflict, then that begins to affect the way that you lead, and at times it shows up in all sorts of sabotaging behavior. If there is a conflict, then find a way for you to create a balance or for you to make these things work together. The third thing, values. What are your personal values? Now, just for me to point out that personal values are different from organizational values. The values, teamwork and all that stuff, those are organizational values. What are the things, the experiences that you consider important? What are the characteristics or the traits that you admire in other people, or that you look up to, or that you hold in high esteem? Things like intelligence, empathy, love, connection, achievement, accomplishment. What are those things? Freedom, discovery. What are those things that are valuable to you? Experiences that you find valuable or that you enjoy, or the characteristics or traits that you hold in high esteem. Define those both for your leadership and for your life, and again, see if they're in conflict. Just before I go deeper into values, I'm going to give an example of an experience that I had when I started out in the coaching business, in this whole coaching industry. My top values as a person are peace and joy. Peace for me is quiet, solitude, and oneness, being aligned with myself. That is peace for me. And joy, of course, you know what joy is. It's joy. However, what I found is my top value in coaching is empathy. Now, empathy is the way that I coach. I don't do surface level coaching. I do deep coaching, where we go deep into what is happening within the client's life, and we find out the origin of what is showing up as the behaviors that they do not want, or the behaviors that they want to deal with. And we deal with that so that they can become the person who they want to be. They can walk as that person who is walking in purpose, with confidence and without apology. And it requires a lot of patience, it requires a lot of empathy, it requires the client to feel like they are safe. Now, what happened was, because I needed to reach out to my clients, I needed to find a way of marketing myself, and that required me to do videos like this one, to be seen, which for me was a violation of peace, which is quiet, solitude, and oneness. And when I was starting out in my coaching business, I remember it was a week where I was paralyzed. I could not move. I said I want to do coaching, but I was failing to move. I literally could not move. Physically, it was like there was a wall before me. And when I sat down and did a reflection, I found that my top value in coaching was empathy, but my top value in life was peace. And what I needed to do in order for me to reach my clients was violating my value of peace. So I had to have a discussion with myself to give permission to me to be visible as I am right now because empathy was important. So when I come to my coaching business, peace has to take the back burner and empathy has to lead. I had to resolve that, but it is because I knew what my values are. So that's how important values are. Values will affect whether you can do something or can't do something. They will stop you. They're like a gate that opens and says, yes, this is okay, or they close and say, we're not going to do that. And no matter what you try, you will not move because your values are that powerful. You will sabotage yourself. So you need to really understand what your values are. And the reason why I want you to compare is because at times a value that is showing up in your leadership might be in conflict with a value that is showing up in your life. And you need to resolve that so that you can move as one. You can move without sabotaging yourself or without holding back. Now let's go back to values. When you look at the values, like especially the values in leadership or the values that you've defined and you defined what they are, you now know what they are. The question to ask yourself is, are you these values, especially in leadership? Let's look at that right now. Because usually what happens with leadership is we are so outward looking because we're not trained to lead. When you get into leadership, then you begin to read books and watch videos and to look out at other leaders, and you begin to see things in them that you admire, and you hold those things in high esteem as values of a good leader, what you call a good leader. So what I want you to do, and especially if those values have come up in your list of these are the values, these are my values in leadership, ask yourself, am I this? And if the answer is yes, then that is very good. If the answer is no, then that usually will show up as low self-esteem as a leader. It will show up as low confidence. For example, if the leaders who you admire are intelligent, and intelligence is a value that you've listed out, and when you look at yourself or you ask yourself that question, am I this? And you look and your answer is, I am not intelligent. Then what happens is you begin to feel a low self-esteem, or you begin to lack confidence because you're not meeting something, you're not meeting an attribute that you actually value. So there might be some work that you need to do there, because what happens is all the memories that you have of yourself, or that you're holding on to, or of you not being intelligent. So you need to find a way of optimizing your memories so that you now also remember the times when you were intelligent, and you can see that you're actually an intelligent person, because the values that you see in others usually are somewhere within yourself. You just need to find them also. So do that check. You understand what the values are. You have seen that, you've evaluated and seen whether there's a conflict, and you've resolved that conflict. Then ask yourself, am I this? Am I actually this? And if it's a no, then do the work. Do the work to find examples or times when you are that, to remind yourself, or to ask people around, or to see how you can improve, because at times it's something that you need to do some research on, you need to do more targeted work, or you need to learn, or you need someone to train you or to mentor you, or actually you may need coaching to help you to deal with that. So that's how you deal with the values. Know what they are, ask yourself if you are that, find out if they're in conflict, and resolve the conflict. Now the last thing is superpower. This is a thing that I believe every leader needs to identify, because this is what makes you stand out. What is your superpower as a leader? And at times this shows up in your life, and then somehow you have to find a way of applying it in your leadership. When you look at relays, the person who is the first is usually called a good starter. The person who is at the end is someone who they know is good at finishing. It's like they choose the team based on their strengths. And I want you to look at leadership like that. When you look at the leaders in your organization, where would you be in a relay? What would they call you for? What would they say, this particular thing, we need that person? And it's not usually the skills, the accounting and all that stuff. There are other soft skills. Either you're empathetic, you know how to deal with people, you know how to come up with quick solutions for problems, you know how to keep the team focused, you know how to encourage the team and to motivate the team. What is your superpower? And the question that I would ask you here is, what makes you good? Without thinking, what is that thing that makes you good? Before you were a leader, while you were in primary, while you were in secondary school, What was that thing about you that was just, you were just good? You didn't need to be educated about it. You just did it. For me, it was studying human beings. I just love to understand humans. I just love to understand what's blocking them, what's getting in the way, and that's the thing. I'm good at that. I do it without thinking. I do it at parties. I do it wherever I am. If I'm seated in an airport, I'm just observing, trying to understand, why did that person do that? What made them do that? I noticed, okay, those ones look this and that. And I've done it throughout my life. I remember the earliest memory I have of studying human beings. I was a little child, and I wanted to understand whether people react to light when they are asleep, and I would open the eyes of people who are sleeping and shine the torch just to see if they would react, because I wanted to see how do they respond to this. That's something. I'm just intrigued by humans, and that's the thing that I'm good at. I am very good at understanding them, because it's like I've spent so much time without thinking, without training, just studying and understanding and asking questions and being curious about them. So that thing makes me good. So what's that thing about you? It is not a schooling thing. It's not a training thing. It is something that you do without thinking. If there was no education, you would still do it, because it's something that is within you. Define that thing and find out what makes you good. And once you've understood that, then ask yourself, what makes you valuable? How can you apply that thing at work so that it becomes something that you're called out for, so that it becomes something that is valuable? And that is what would be your superpower at work. That would be the thing that they would call you for. Because if we go back to the example of the people in the relays, all of them can run fast, but then there is someone who is good at starting, and there is someone who is good at finishing. That is the value that they are bringing to the team. So how can you turn that thing that you're good at into something valuable? For example, me, understanding humans, understanding human beings, understanding how we behave, understanding how we work, how we think, understanding why we do the things that we do. The way that I turned that into value at work was just whenever there was an issue, I was very good at getting to the root and understanding, because work issues, work problems, problems with the process, there is always a human involved. I was very good at getting to the root and then coming up with a solution, because I did not just look at the problem and tell off the human beings. I always went deeper to understand what is the root cause. And when I found the root cause, I sorted out the root cause so that now the problem went away. So that's how I used it when I was at work. I became valuable at that. I reworked some processes. I would use different things so that the human beings were able, the people who I was working with were able to work efficiently, were able to be more productive, were able to gain confidence, were able to overcome fears. And the thing is, it was just because I understand the human person. I didn't need to tell off people. I didn't need to shout at people. I would just look at you and see what is going on, deal with that so that you would be able to do your work. That is what made me valuable. So what makes you as a leader valuable? In addition to everything, everyone, all the people are leaders. All the people at your rank are leaders. Let's say everyone is a head of section or head of department or whatever. But what is it that people would come to you for, in addition to you being a leader? For me, it was also just to help them to understand their problems. People would actually come to me to discuss all sorts of things, even home things. Because I understood them, and I would help them to understand themselves, and I would help them to walk themselves out of that. People would come to me and just for advice on how do I deal with a team member who is like this or the other, or someone who's having a problem with their supervisor. How can I handle that? Just because I understood people, just because I understood human behavior, and I understood what was going on. So what is your superpower? That is the way that you're going to stand out. That is the way that you're going to lead. That is the way that you're going to lead confidently. That's what's going to make you be sought out. That's what you stand on. That is what you rely on. That is the foundation from which you lead. I hope this video has been helpful. If you would like some support in this particular area of defining who you are as a leader, there is a link in the comment, not in the comments, in the definition of this video. Click that link, reach out, let's see how we can work together to help you understand, to define who you are as a leader. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like or to comment or to tell someone else about this video.